Let's do our focus of the day. So this is something I've been working with our my dear second private retreat person, Dave, who's actually joined our class, and he's not able to do it today, but our focus, which felt very important for us here, is what it feels like to stay calm and centered in the midst of triggers. So triggers come in all shapes, forms, and sizes, and they come at us sometimes. So it's not that they're coming at us, but because we get triggered, we feel like things are coming at us. So we tend to hold a certain position or reaction or some kind of energy that we're holding towards that, whatever it is that's coming at us. So one of the things too that last week I wanted to talk about that it didn't come through, so I want to add to that, is releasing old concepts of ourselves. This was when we were talking about the full moon last week, and we're at the last quarter moon today, actually. So the energy of how we're used to a certain way that we ourselves react. So we have this reactive sense when triggers come up, and we have our own persona and what we hold as what is us. This is what this means to me, or what. So all these barriers and blocks and energy start, these grid things just start to line up. So you just want to have that sense of being relaxed and letting go of old concepts of yourselves, because you're growing, you're transforming. Things that used to trigger you a certain way don't have to trigger you that way. So they might, but your response to them, you're responding instead of reacting. So there's a lot of this fun comic that I read years and years ago when I lived in California, and it was the story of this, the caricatures, but this surfer dude sitting on this bench, and he's got his surfboard next to him, and he's just staring at the ocean. And the next scene, this businessman is coming up, and he's intense, and he's coming up to the surfer dude, and he's talking to him, and he's like, good, you're doing nothing, you're just sitting around, you're just staring at the ocean, you need to do something good for society, you're just sitting around wasting your time, you're doing all this. And he's just animated, and he's going off, and he's doing this and that, and then he walks off, and he's still shaking his hand at the surfer dude, and the surfer dude's nodding his head, and he says, "Far out, dude." So, it's that energy of like when things are coming at you, if you could stay in your center and know that you're okay, then everything else could just be like far out, So easier said than done when triggers are coming up, but it's doable. And especially if you feel zipped up. So I want to talk a little bit about being zipped up. The action of a zipper in front of you and that you're zipping up is much more than just an arm movement. It's actually gathering your electromagnetic field. And when there are disturbances, such as triggers, it doesn't have to be a person in your field. It could be someone on the phone. It could be, it's an energetic of something that's in your field that's triggering you. Immediately, as soon as you start to feel triggers coming up, zip yourself up. That means you're gathering your field to yourself. So you feel much more whole, and your field around you feels more sealed. So the energy doesn't have an easy time just penetrating in. And then that act of zipping yourself up already triggers yourself to know, hey, I'm in my vertical pillar of light. I can stay calm and centered while this is going on, and I don't have to have a concept of myself that I have to defend, because anytime we feel like we have to be righteous and we have to defend our position, we're already out of our alignment. There's something about, I'm not saying just be a pushover and everybody does whatever they want, but it's that energy of righteousness. When it's held in tightness, it just causes friction, more friction. So being in your center, knowing when to speak, how to speak, it's possible to speak and be heard. I'm not doing all of that, and this would be like an hour-long class, but we're going to do just what it feels like to stay calm and centered in the midst of triggers, and to have that opportunity to really let go of old concepts of yourself, because you're not the same person that you were even a month ago. So it's just really important to keep growing. As you're growing, give yourself new opportunities to see yourself differently. Nobody's going to see you differently until you see yourself differently. So, all right. So here we go. That was a lot of talking. Sip of water, and here we go. All right. We also spoke last week about your ease of connecting. So as you tap in, the more you do this practice, the more it becomes second nature to you. It just becomes easier for you to do as something that you're constantly tuning into, your vertical pillar and your highway and your connection. So the ease of your connection is something that's really important for you to find. I provide you the most, the simplest kind of vertical highway access that I could provide you. So whatever works for you, you change the words, you change the path, whatever you need to do, as long as you tap in to a space that is light and only light. However way you get there, by all means, this is between you and your creator. So meanwhile, I'll do the best to guide you how I do.